I'm Michael Grove, and I'm a principal and the chair of landscape architecture at Sasaki.
Hi, my name is Tao Zhang. I'm a principal at Sasaki, a landscape architect and ecologist by training.
Thank you for joining us today to learn about our ongoing work on the Yangtze Riverfront Park in Wuhan. This has been an important project for Sasaki as it highlights what many waterfront cities around the world are facing with respect to converging forces of urbanism, growth, resiliency, and habitat loss. It showcases how the public realm is an important component in addressing all of these sometimes conflicting issues. First, however, a bit of context. Wuhan is a city forged by floods. For centuries, it's co-evolved with the Yangtze, dependent on the river for commerce, growth, and trade. Today, Wuhan is a city of 10.6 million people that's transitioning to a more tech and education-based economy, but the river remains an important component in the quality of life and identity of the city.
The Yangtze is China's longest river, draining 1/5 of the country's land area. Often revered as the mother river, it has nurtured China's history, culture, and economy since the dawn of civilization. As one of the major economic centers along the Yangtze and central China's largest city, Wuhan, with all of its visionary aspirations, is reevaluating its relationship with the river. The plan for the riverfront park grew out of a necessity to deal with the issues related to resiliency and ecology, but also out of a strong desire to reconnect with the river, which has been an integral part of its history since the city's founding over 2,000 years ago. Wuhan is unique in so many ways, but its complex relationship with its dynamic river is one of the most significant. The Yangtze brought prosperity and industry to Wuhan, but with those benefits also came damage from flooding and the natural disasters. So more than many other cities, Wuhan's unique vernacular culture of living with the river is a unique part of its story, both in ancient history and in the modern day.
This image really speaks to Wuhan's contemporary relationship with the river. As planners and designers, we often characterize resiliency as a need to respond to the powerful forces of nature with an engineered approach, one that pushes back against these forces rather than embracing them. But in Wuhan, where the culture of living with the river is so integrated with its seasonal fluctuation, it's no big deal. People still hang out in these waterfront spaces even when they're inundated. You don't see this happening in many other cities around the world. Often the focus is on creating a clear delineation or barrier between where the water meets the land. But in Wuhan, it's an evolving edge, and that's okay.
This relationship with the river is evident in the city's geography. Wuhan's waterfront actually consists of two rivers, the Yangtze and the Han, and their four banks. The width of the Yangtze creates a challenging relationship between the both sides, where a lack of connection disrupts the urban fabric. To make up for this, the modern skyline has developed linearly along the river.
And these contemporary high-rises, by building along the river, indicate that, at least from an address and identity point of view, the river is important and valuable. But in most places of Wuhan, the quality of the riverfront experience is industrial and neglected. It's not a very humane experience to walk along the river today. Currently, it's something to be viewed from a window in a skyscraper looking down, not experienced from the ground. What we're aiming to do is change how the people of Wuhan interact with the river.
With the city's burgeoning skyline, the waterfront becomes an even more important component to balance Wuhan's increasing density and to acknowledge the river's post-industrial contribution to the city. The plan creates a strategy for how the riverfront will evolve, not only towards the river, but spanning it, engaging it, and connecting neighborhoods that have straddled the river for centuries. This is a map that we developed to demonstrate the relationship of the people with the river. Different colors indicated various activities, ranging from active recreational uses to passive nature-based experiences. The blue dots represent the proposed connections across the river that are recreational, cultural, and fun, rather than utilitarian transportation means.
What's especially intriguing is the flow of people along, but not necessarily towards the river. Again, because of the city's linear expansion along the banks of the Yangtze, there were fewer streets that led people, likely workers and laborers, towards the waterfront. Because the river was so industrialized, there wasn't a defined connection between the interior of the city and the waterfront, and certainly not any grand landscape gestures that create a sense of importance for the river and bring open space and people down to the waterfront.
In the master plan, we celebrate the future of the river, creating a much more nuanced and intricate experience. The park creates a spectrum ranging from more confined urban spaces, and then the dimensions widen towards the outskirts of the city. This forms a gradient between highly urbanized public space to a more ecologically oriented framework which protects both the city and the river itself. Of course, the riverfront is not so straightforward. As a complex ecological and social system with a really complicated existing infrastructure that required a constructive approach to really dissect its attributes and understand its current and its potential use.
It's important to note that this is a very wide waterfront as far as riverfront parks go. But right now, its existing condition is a bit of a one-liner. There's one consistent experience from one edge of the park to the other. What we attempted to do was redefine it both programmatically and environmentally to create a variety of ways that the park can respond to the forces of the river. A series of different tools